When I travel a lot and I go back home, my friends ask me what people from Europe or different countries think about America. I just like to ask you a few questions, like your name.
My name is Domagoj. That's old Croatian traditional name. Actually, Domagoj was king in Croatian history. So,
How many languages can you speak?
Croatian for sure, then English, and I learned also Italian. Because in our educational system, you start to learn English in the 4th grade of elementary school. Then you go through elementary school, then the high school, and then in the high school you should pick the not the second language but the third language. Because if the Croatian is first, English is second, and then the third language, usually our educational system offered us either Italian, German, French.
How big is your family?
My closest family is my sister. I have a father. Unfortunately, my mother passed away 2013, and then I never got married. I split with my ex-girlfriend, but I have a son, and he's a very sweet boy. He's nearly 2 years old, and 16th of September he'll have full 2 years.
Because you're very interesting. You've done a lot of things in your life.
Yes.
So could you just tell me like some of the jobs you've held and and some of the jobs you have now?
I was after I came from US, I served the military. I was an army diver. I served the military for one year and a couple of months. Then I was a diving instructor. I worked in the diving clubs like a dive master, and after like a diving instructor. I worked for the film industry too, like a stuntman, and that's a very interesting job. My mother never liked that. You know, when I was younger, I liked the adrenaline, I liked the rush, I liked the action. And now now this is my primary job. You see where we're sitting now. I'm skippering the boats in the last 15 years. I'm instructors for young skippers, and yes, I played waterpolo for 10 years. I did some martial arts, Thai boxing, and I delivered the boats from France and to Canarian Islands, all Mediterranean country, from Baltic Sea.
And you've sailed all over the Mediterranean.
Yes, I did Greece, Turkey, passing by through Albania, stopped a couple of times, but I didn't have any good experience in that. Sicily, Sardinia, Corsica, Spain, France.
What's the first thing that comes in your mind when I say America?
America.
Yeah.
So maybe because of my second job, but in general, America is the land of opportunities. The America is, I look at the Hollywood movies, and in the past when I was a kid, we had lots of influence from American movies, from the music, and it's a good thing also. Maybe I'm jumping from subject to subject, but why Croatian in general speaks English? Because we don't have synchronized TV. So Mel Gibson's voice is Mel Gibson's voice.
Oh, okay.
So that's why you start to learn English from an early age. And then when you are young, that kids are like a sponge. Then you just pick up the sounds and the language goes easier.
Yeah.
So when you say America, I will say, that dream country. Like you go there, if you are willing to work, if you are a hard worker, for sure you will succeed. That's I grew up in such a, not with such a thought. But then I lived in US for nearly 2 years, and I lived in San Diego, so I felt it. And then there is also some good things in the system, bad things, but in general, I think that, I know that Americans, not some, but also, Americans are dreaming to go to Europe because Europe is a cradle of, the culture and all these buildings and the civilization.
Yes.
But as American likes to go to Europe, European likes to go to America.
Okay, tell me, what are the differences between Croatia and America?
The biggest difference is that you know, in America, you have so many nationalities, so many, not nationalities, but cultures. Like you have Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, and I think, of course, such a variety of cultures is changing the society. But here, even now, we don't have such a variety of you know, different cultures. Like, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm not racist, but black people, Chinese, Vietnamese, we are not under that influence. So when I was a childhood, in my childhood, when I grew up, it's like I never had contacts with black people, with Chinese. They were not there. So I'm not saying is it good or bad. I'm just saying this will be the biggest difference between US and Croatia.
What's the first thing you think about when I say American food?
American food, fast food.
Fast food.
Yes, like, you know, Domino's Pizza, the Jack in the Box, the McDonald's. Yes, I think so. And then when I was there, you know, you have these malls where you can buy a Chinese, Vietnamese, but mostly I think about fast food.
Okay, because they don't really have that here, right?
Not really.
Yeah. I want to ask you about American tourists to Croatia. Are they different than other European tourists?
Different, because maybe in my job, because I work with different, how to say, people from different countries, even continents. But what I understood with Europeans, like all European countries, they are familiar with Balkan history, partly,
Yes.
in certain percentage. I'll say that Europeans are more informed than Americans. So when you see the difference between American and European tourists, Americans are more interested, you know, in way of living, culture, how was it in the past, you know, they ask about the war. They ask for for example, you see some fort in the far distance, they ask you what, not only what is that fort, but they ask you what century, what was the purpose of that. In general, they will ask more questions.
What is the best advice for somebody to visit Croatia?
Of course, when you're prepping the trip, you should always Google and research. But you know, it depends how you want to spend your holiday. Is it the hotel? Is it the boat? Is it the? But then my advice is that don't be afraid that you can't communicate in Croatia. That's the first thing, because basically, if you ask someone in the shop, on the street, especially younger generations. I'm 42 years old, and let's say even with older people than me, everybody will speak English. So you don't have to be afraid that you can't communicate here. That's the first thing. The second thing is that that's a good question. So I know in terms of boating, I could give you many advices, but in general, if you're coming on boating, it's a good thing that you research the country. You have a beautiful country. There is lots of national parks, marine parks. Istria, that's a northwest region, as I told you before, that could be a rolling model for Croatian tourism. It's very ordered, and also Dalmatia. So back to your question. First thing is, don't be afraid. For sure you can communicate. The second thing is, trust to your guide or someone who wants to show you something, because I think the Croatian people are very friendly. In terms of food, don't be afraid to do not the research, but just go with the flow. Don't have second thoughts when you look at the menu, you don't know what is it. Just ask the waiter, he will explain, and in general people are willing to help, because everybody, in general, Croatian people are proud on who we are, where we are, and what we do. So that is my, like, how to say, couple of advices when you.
I've noticed, like, being here, that if I go into a shop or we're walking by the ladies in Stone by the market, and I said Dobro Jutro or Dobar Dan, they light up. I think it's good to do that.
Yes,
even if you don't know Croatian, to learn a few words.
We appreciate that, because you know, maybe you get used to everybody speaks English, but you know, the Croatian language, all Slavic languages are only familiar to this region. You know, a bit of Russian, Ukrainian, but it's completely different culture. But yeah, of course we are happy when someone is putting any effort to try to at least give a, how to say, gratitude for something in their own language.
Right.
So yeah, that's a good point. I think I should add this to my list. Even the simple things like try to communicate on Croatian, the people will appreciate it.
If you could visit any place in the world, where would it be?
Oh, when I was a kid, I had lots of places. As I'm getting older, I traveled, I won't say most of the world, but I did a lot of traveling. From my perspective now, I would like to see French Polynesia. French Polynesia, that's a mecca for sailors, let's say, beautiful place. Because I sailed Thailand, Caribbean, Canadian, all Mediterranean country, Baltic, North Sea, so it's that's something on my list I would like to do.
Thank you.
Bilo mi je zadovoljstvo.